Welcome to the 2017 Board of Education Candidate Forum. I'm your moderator, Aryan Chenka. We are coming to you from the NTC-HDTV studio at Nashua High School South. Students from both Nashua North and Nashua South High Schools have prepared several questions for the 8 candidates currently running for 4 at-large school board positions. But before we begin, we would like to read a statement from a candidate who has withdrawn from the race, Haley Goodspeed. Haley Goodspeed is one of 9 candidates on the City of Nashua ballot for the 4 available Board of Education positions. Goodspeed is a member of the Nashua High School South class of 2014. Although very supportive of today's student-produced candidate forums, Ms. Goodspeed says she is not participating because, in quote, because I will not be seeking election due to the volume of candidates and the skills and knowledge they have behind them. Let's get started. Here are the rules for today's forum. To start, each candidate will have 1 minute to introduce themselves and explain why they are running for the Board of Education. Then, we will move on to your individual questions. Students will come and ask their question directed to a specific candidate. Again, candidates will have 1 minute to answer. We will end the questioning with a final general question directed to all candidates. Finally, each candidate will receive 30 seconds for final closing remarks. Our timekeepers will raise the orange warning sign when you have 15 seconds left. When you hear the bell, your time is up, and you should wrap up your answer. Now it's time to meet our candidates. Would you please introduce yourself and briefly summarize why you are running for the Board of Education, starting with Mr. Farrington.
Good afternoon. My name is George Farrington. I'm a retired airline pilot. I realized the other day that my wife and I moved here 40 years ago. Came as somewhat of a surprise. We had 4 children that grew up and went through the school system, and now we have 3 grandchildren that are in the schools. I've spent a total of 12 years over the last several years on the Board of Education. I took some time off between an 8-year stretch. I'm completing 4 years now and would like to do another 4 years. Education is very important to me, and even more so, I think it's more important for the children of Nashua that they receive a very comprehensive education. I would like to see all of our students be challenged, and at the same time, I think it's very important for all of the students to experience success in their endeavors here in education. And so, that's what I thought.
Thank you. My name is Raymond Garino, and I live in Ward 7, and I am running for the Board of Education, as you know, and I have a background in urban planning. And I have 2 children that are that went through the system. My daughter is still at Nashua High South. I'm running for Board of Education because I believe that the Board of Education, its top priority should be to be an advocate for public schools. And we do that by valuing our professional educators. We value our schools, our walking schools. We value the legacy that has been handed down to us. And so these are some of the reasons why that I'm running for the Board of Education. So, yep.
My name is Bert Jans. I have been a resident of town since 1982, when I got out of the Navy after 10 years of active service. After receiving my degree, I was asked, to teach at Daniel Webster College as an adjunct instructor. I have 2 children that went through the school system here. So I understand from a parent's point of view, from a student's point of view, and from an instructor's point of view, what the students in the school system are really looking for. I would like to make sure that the students in the school don't have to keep asking the question, how am I going to use this in real life? Let's give them these answers.
Oh, thank you, and thank you for having us today. My name's Dottie Oden. I'm a retired teacher, spent 14 years teaching at Amherst Street School, and a year and a half before that as a para. I had taught earlier in my years in Connecticut. I have two children that went through the Nashua School District, and both have been very successful in pursuing careers that they enjoyed. I'm running because we have a new superintendent. He needs support. He's somebody who's very student-centered, and I want to support him. I believe that all of our kids need to have an education for them. It's not one size fits all. For those that want to go into one of the CTE positions, a vocational job, we should have that. We have lots of programs. I'd like to see that expanded. Any student going on to college, I'd like to see them prepared. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, my name is Heather Raymond. I moved to Nashua in 2010. I spent my career helping children and families. I was a social worker for child protection for 12 years, first as an investigator in the state of New York, and then here in Nashua. One of the unique things about working in child protection is that you get to know the communities that you work into. I have been in every single one of Nashua's schools, and we have a lot of schools, and each of them has their own unique community and their own unique needs. Over the years, I've participated in countless IEP meetings and court hearings while advocating for the kids on my caseload. I've also gotten to work with a lot of wonderful community service agencies. I love Nashua. My husband and I chose to move here. We're choosing to raise our children here. I have two children at Birch Hill. They're in the 4th and the 2nd grade. And I'm choosing to run for board because I want all of our children, not just my own, to be successful. I want to make sure that our teachers are supported, that our curriculum is evidence-based, and that our budget is managed appropriately.
Yes, hi. My name is Jamila Scales, and I'm running for the Board of Education. I'm running for you, the students. I'm running for the teachers to help make sure that they have what they need, the tools and the resources that they need to teach you, to educate you appropriately for your future. It's very important for me to see all of you succeed, all of the students of Nashua to succeed, and successfully enroll into college. If college is not an option for some students, then we have a fantastic CTE program, which I think is the best kept secret of Nashua High School. I would love to see students have a bigger and more heard voice. Very necessary. That's something I hear from the students. So please vote Jamila Scales for Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Timmons.
My name is Gloria Timmons. I am a retired veteran of 22 years. I also retired from the state of New Hampshire. I have 3 kids and 16 grandkids. Half of those grandkids are in the school system. I have 2 at Nashua South and 1 at Nashua North right now. I'm running for the Board of Education because of the kids, because of the teachers. I know what they want. I listen to them each and every day. I am an advocate of children. I'm an advocate of good class. I'm an advocate of great public schools. My kids are professional because we had great public education in Nashua. And I know we have great teachers as well. So that is one reason why I'm running. The other reason is because I have to see that all kids get the same fair treatment regardless of zip code. And this is the way you get it, through a good, great public education. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Sandra Zeman. Most of you know I've been on the board for 12 years now, getting old. Having said that, I think it's very difficult to wrap your arms around all of the knowledge you need to be a really good board member. You have to know the RSAs, the laws, if you will. You have to know curriculum. You have to know special education. You have to know the budget. It goes on and on and on. And truthfully, I feel that I have acquired. I'm only now valuable in my view because of the length of time that it takes. Even when we have approximately 13,000 students, it takes quite a while to relate to all of them. And as a board member, you really need to. You need to relate to the very beginning to the end. Each and every child needs to have adequate education. And so my sole intent is to strengthen the classroom and support Dr. Mosley. Dr. Mosley is a tremendous superintendent, and I look forward to serving under him. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now move on to our individual questions. We will have students come up to the podium, introduce themselves, then ask their question to their specific candidate. You will then have 1 minute to answer.
Hello everyone, my name is Haley Drew. I'm a senior from Nashua High School North, and my question is for Mr. Farrington. First of all, we'd like to say thank you for your service to this country in the Vietnam War. And Mr. Farrington, you have said that the Board of Education tends to tackle multiple problems at once, instead of focusing on one major problem or goal. This being said, what is the one problem or goal you wish to accomplish for the Board of Education should you be elected?
I've been talking with the superintendent since he's come here. I think it's important for our board to settle down and talk about what we call board governance. It's how the board conducts themselves, what issues they deal with, what issues we allow the administration to be responsible for. We spend a lot of money on administrators, and I think that we oftentimes find ourselves as a board, I call it micromanaging. Other people sometimes don't like that term. But the board should be responsible for sitting back and developing a strategic plan, developing policies, and analyzing data to make sure that we are working towards achieving those goals. And if we aren't achieving those goals, asking the questions that are necessary of the administration to find out why we aren't and what we need to do to change our course so that we can be productive and provide a better education for the students of Nashua.
My name is Ruben Zoe, and I'm a sophomore, and my question's for Mr. Garino. There's a lot of science behind the idea that later start times for high schools lead to improved attendance and academic results. When it's talked about here, the argument revolves around busing, sports, and after-school babysitting, none of which have bearing on what we're here for, which is to get a good education. Portsmouth recently implemented later start times. Why isn't Nashua following the same trend?
That's something the board should take up. I have, as I said, I have a daughter that goes to Nashua High South, and my son just graduated. I think that's a very good question. I think the board should take that up, and I think it would help students. Transportation is a problem, busing is a problem, and I think that we should, although you're talking about the high school, we should make it easier for kids to walk to school and bicycle to school. I know that the high schools, it's kind of difficult to do that, but that's something we should look at.
Hello, my name is Riley Olson, and I'm a sophomore at Nashua South High School. I have a question for Mr. Jans. First, we'd like to thank you for your service in our military. So considering your background in software engineering, what is your view on integrating technology into our classrooms?
Oh, that's a very good question. There are a lot of studies that have come out recently that have shown that the use of a laptop in the classroom exclusively doesn't really help students. Let me finish with this. My experience teaching, I've been teaching web-based courses for Daniel Webster College when it was still around, showed that there's more than just web-based courses necessary. You need in-class instruction. I'm an advocate for using 21st century technology in the classroom, but using it productively. Let's use ebooks. Let's use PDFs. Let's start replacing some of these hardcover books with modern day materials, because an ebook is published every year. So you get new material, you get accurate material, you get it in a way that you can use it on a cell phone, on a tablet, on a laptop. And by using this technology, we can start moving towards 21st century knowledge and 21st century technology.
My name is Tanisha Aserpoda, and I'm a sophomore at South. My question is for Miss Oden. As you support smaller class sizes, how do you plan to deal with the expenses with this? For example, more teachers in classrooms.
Smaller classrooms are extremely important. Nashua has done a good job in the past few years of making class sizes smaller. We had to make some of them a little bit larger this year because of all-day kindergarten, which I think on the whole was probably a good trade-off. I think what we need to do when we can't have smaller classrooms is to make sure we provide para support in the classrooms where the numbers are larger and some of the students might be more challenging. I think we have to look at it that way. That way we have a better chance of fitting it into the budget, because paras are not as expensive as teachers, but they still give a lot of support to our students.
At Nashua High School South, and my question is for Miss Raymond. So, there's been a recent debate about gender-neutral bathrooms, so I'd like to ask your opinion on implementing gender-neutral bathrooms in schools in the Nashua School District, from elementary schools to high schools.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I think that's a very important and timely question. I know in Candia recently there was a very big debate about allowing a transgender student to use the bathroom that associated with her gender identity. As a result, one person ended up getting voted off the school board at re-election, and Candia changed the law back to not allow that student to use the appropriate bathroom. I personally believe that that the district's job is to protect our students and make sure that they are safe and also true to themselves. This means their social emotional development in addition to their academic development. We need to be protecting and supporting our transgender youth. So my feeling is that this is a discussion that needs to continue as we evolve. I don't know that I would blanket say gender neutral bathrooms everywhere, but we definitely need to be making allowances so that everyone feels safe and comfortable at school.
Hello, I'm Jordan Perry, and I'm a junior from Nashua High School South. And my question is for Mrs. Scales, and it is: if you are elected, what steps will you take for the Teachers Union and the Board of Education to negotiate and approve a new teacher's contract due to the fact that the old one is not effective anymore?
When it comes to the new contract for teachers, I will absolutely review. I will absolutely consider all information, not just the information that I will get at first, but the previous information, and research and speak to teachers about their needs, as I've already done. I work as a paraprofessional as well as a substitute teacher in the Nashua School District, so I have a good idea as to what their needs are. However, I don't think you can get a better outlook better than talking to many of them, and preferably in a group setting. There is a contract currently on the table that they are negotiating, and I'm praying that it does go through. I'm hoping it does. If it doesn't, then there'll be a new board, a new part of the board, and I will be advocating to vote for the new contract.
Hello, my name is Suhas Kadakaneni, and I'm a sophomore at Nashua High School South. My question is to Mrs. Timmons. First of all, thank you for your service. And my question is, which policy issue do you feel the most strongly about, and how do you plan to address it?
My policy is privatization, and I do not believe in that. So how I would address it is with finding out all the ways that we can support our school system and do everything that we need to support our teachers and our students, and to make sure everything is as fair as possible. But that is one of the policies that I would try to hold dear and near to my heart, is that we have to keep things the status quo. I do not believe in privatization. I think we should have good, great public education, and that's what I intend to promote.
Hello, I'm George Eade, and I'm a student here at Nashua High School South. My question is for Mrs. Ziem. So it's known that you're a proponent of fiscal accountability and discretionary spending.
what would be some of your spending priorities for the Nashua School District, and what would be lower on that priority list? Thank you.
Anybody who watches the public television and sees our shows knows that one of the key things that I disagree with is that we have established salary scales for all our administrators. For instance, an assistant principal has to be in the 80s, I want to say from $82,000 to $87,000. If somebody comes forward to be made an assistant principal or a principal or an administrator on any level, you can't just put them in the scale. Most recently, we had a lady come forward with 3 years experience, didn't truly have 3 years experience. And having said that, she got a $44,500 raise. So I'm opposed to that kind of spending. At Harmony Real Estate, I don't do that, and I don't think we can afford to do it. Sorry to be over.
Before we wrap up, we would like to ask all of our candidates one final general question. The question is, if elected, how will you work to make sure that the Nashua School District is ranked higher than it currently is, and to make the students in Nashua academically stronger and prepared for the future? Starting with Mr. Farrington.
Well, I don't think for me, it's not so much a question of ranking of the school. What we need to do is we need to, one of the few things that the board has really seemed to be unanimously in agreement on is trying to get as many students as possible on grade level in terms of reading and math by third grade. By the end of their third grade, it begins to deal with the inequities that students come to school with in their abilities and backgrounds, and it gives them all a foundation. If we want students to be successful, we have to get them to a common level so that they can progress. I can't imagine how discouraging it is for a third or fourth or fifth grader who's reading 1 or 2 years behind grade level, trying to keep up, trying to succeed with other classmates who are continuing to progress into the 5th and 6th grade. That is where I think we need to start, is a good foundation for all of our students.
Mr. Farrington had touched on it a little bit earlier about the strategic plan. At Muffins with Mosley, Dr. Mosley had talked about a strategic plan. And I think it's very important that that the Board of Education look at the job satisfaction for teachers and the culture, teaching culture at different schools. My children went through Sunset Heights and Elm Street, and they had a lot of job satisfaction there. Some of the other schools just aren't up to par there. So I think we have to get Nashua to a point where every family has a good experience. Like my family had a good experience through the school system, and so I think we should look at that. There is a survey, and it does show that some teachers have less job satisfaction than other teachers, and the teaching culture is different than other schools, some schools and other schools. So I think we should kind of focus on that area. Mm-hmm.
Pardon me if I turn the question on its head. My son was in the first graduation class at North. He went into culinary. He wanted to go into culinary. The kid has been cooking his entire life. He was accepted to Johnson & Wales at the end of his junior high school year. They told us that he could go to his senior year at Johnson & Wales and that he could spend his senior high school year there as well as his freshman year. Because of block scheduling, my son was not allowed to start his career. That needs to end. When students, when you are ready to go to a more advanced school, it is not the job of the Nashua school system to keep you behind. It is the job of the Nashua school system to help you move forward. That's what I want to see happen.
Yes, I think we have to look at it as much individualized instruction as we possibly can for our students. For those students that need extra help in either reading and math at a very early age, it's important to get them when they're young. it's the foundation of their life, of their educational career. I think we need to have more after-school tutoring. I think we need to have better summer schools. But I think with our leader, Dr. Mosley, talking about a strategic plan that's tied to budgetary decisions is really important, because I believe that that strategic plan committee will be looking at ways to improve our education, and we'll be talking with the community, the teachers, the students, and I think that is why I want to run for the board and hope I'm elected to support Dr. Mosley's efforts in putting a strategic plan together. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree that we need to have a strategic plan. I think one thing that's very important right now is to make sure that our curriculum is evidence-based and measurable, that we're not having teachers start new initiatives without a purpose, and that we're making sure that all of our classes are purposeful to teach our kids appropriate skills. I also think that we really need to be concentrating on making sure that we lift up all of our students and not just some of our students. For example, the number of English language learners in Nashua has tripled in the last 10 years, yet the staff remains the same. I would like to see a commitment to those students as well as our other students. Right now, Lead Street and Dr. Crisp have accepted a program through the YMCA for summer learning to prevent language loss, and it's really helping those students maintain their literacy. I think we need to extend those programs for the kids who don't have that extra support at home.
Yes. Again, my name is Jamila Scales, and I am running for the Board of Education. The way I would like to see Nashua begin to rank top again, there are several different ways, but focusing on the emotional intelligence of students is very important in their learning process. In addition to that, teachers' resources in order to do that and to teach class instruction is extremely important. Ask any teacher. Their ability to teach any level course and any student is also important, and the support in the classroom as well. It's extremely important to the success of the classroom. After-school student tutoring, as Ms. Soden said, is extremely important as well. My own children have been tutored after school in the lower grades, and it was extremely helpful for them. In addition to strategic planning, as Dr. Mosley is speaking about, ELL is it's continuously increasing. It's necessary. We have a very diverse community, and we need to be able to educate all of our students. Thank you.
I agree with everything everyone else said on the panel here. However, I am doing something to raise to raise children learn higher right now. Right now, I am with My Brother's Keeper. It's a pilot program in Nashua. We started it 3 years ago. It is to keep kids out of the criminal justice system, to raise their academic scores from 0 to 18 years. We are now opening the community center in Nashua. This particular community center, starting at Dr. Chris, because of the Title I school, would enhance the grade levels from kindergarten to the senior, going on to secondary school. We are in focus groups where kids would be able to read by the 3rd grade level, and my time is almost up, but I implore you all to visit the grand opening on this Saturday. We're having a Halloween party. I'd like you to be there, and it's from 10 to 3 o'clock. So, yes, that will increase higher education in Nashua schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Some of the ways I would go forward is I would begin by supporting Dr. Mosley, because I think we're very fortunate to have him. He's a great man. Then I would try to improve and promote our CTE program. I would try to keep our classroom sizes small. I would try to focus on classroom services, paraprofessionals certainly included. They're one of our least appreciated and most valuable resources in my view. And finally, I would say everything I would try to say, everything I have to say in a kind and civil manner, so that, as Mr. Farrington pointed out, our governance would be more professional, more what the people of Nashua deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, as our time wraps up, we would like to give each candidate 30 seconds each for closing remarks, starting with Mr. Farrington.
Well, I'd like to start by thanking you for giving us this opportunity to come together and talk about this. I've got 12 years of experience, 8 years as board president, so I have experience in every single aspect of the district. I would appreciate everyone's support on Election Day. As I said earlier, we need to challenge our students, but at the same time, we need to provide them with the support so that they can experience success. Even back when I was on the board before, because money always enters into the conversation, I think one of the things that we can do to help improve things in the schools is, and it doesn't cost a lot of money, is we have to increase the expectation we have for our students. Expect more from them, and I think that we will get better results along with all of the other things that we've talked about today.
Yes, my daughter had a science teacher at Elm Street, and at open house, she said that each and every one of her students, she treats each and every one of her students the way she wants her son's teachers to treat him. And we can't put a monetary value on that kind of caring and dedication. We need to keep and attract teachers that way, and the board has to focus on being an advocate for public schools, and that's why I'm running. So, thank you very much.
As others have said, we need a strategic plan, but I think that strategic plan has to concentrate on what children in the classroom need, because the schools are here for the children. The schools are not here for anything else. We are here to make sure that you get the education that you need that will start you on your life moving forward, whether that is a life towards college or whether it is a life towards some other type of skill. As I said, it's easy to get a good education here in Nashua.
Yes, thank you. I want to thank all of you today. You had some great questions, very thought-provoking. Thank you for that. I hope you can support me, vote for me. I would like to be reelected. I have 8 years experience on the board. I have 25 years of teaching experience in the classroom, a year and a half of para support here in Nashua. So I think I have an understanding. I try to get into the schools as much as possible, talk to students, teachers, I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us here today. I really appreciated the opportunity to come into the school and hear some of the thoughts from kids. I've been a civil servant for most of my adult career, but this is my first time running for office. For me, public education is the bedrock of what it means to be an American. We all have this promise together that we can learn what we need to learn to be successful in society. And I just want to make sure that all Nashua kids have that opportunity.
Yes, thank you for being here today, everyone. And thanks for the questions. They were very, very thought-provoking. And I'm very impressed. Very impressed. I just want to let you know that I am a parent of 2 Nashua students, and I'm very passionate about education, youth education, as you are our future, and if we're going to be successful, you need to be successful. So please vote for me on that wonderful day of Tuesday, November 7th, so that I can work for you on the Board of Education. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for allowing us to be here today. We need to vote for the right people. We need to get people in that are going to support the school, that's going to support you, that's going to hear your voices. I believe that I am the right person to do that. I have a lot of teenagers. I have 8 of them. I listen to them. We need to listen to you. We need to hear your thoughts and your views. And without you, we can't do our job. So it's not just about one thing or the other. It's a collaboration of everything. And I want you to vote for me, or have your parents vote for me November the 7th. Thank you.
A lot of the kids do vote. It's amazing how many are already at that thing. And I just want to say, this is the 3rd time I've sat with one of these audiences, and I want to tell you your questions are better than the ones that come from the adults. They're research-based. It's obvious that you've studied who you're asking, and so you go right to the focus of who they are. And I just want to tell you that that's why I'm on this board, because once in a while I get the privilege of exchanging ideas with you young people, and it rejuvenates my old blood. Thank you.
And on behalf of the AP Government and Politics class and our video production and broadcasting class, we'd like to thank all of the candidates for participating in this forum. We hope we have helped educate our voters a little more before they head to the polls on November 7th. I'm Aryan Chenka. Thank you for watching.